the job search imitates business, right? The job search, how to be successful in the job search is a similar way that you're successful in anything else that you're doing, and re-strategizing. Like, if something's not working, change it. Welcome back to Answer the Call podcast, where we help Christians faithfully discern their calling and land a job that's aligned with it. I have a former coaching client with me ready to share her story, but first I'm going to give her a little intro before we jump in together. So when we started working together, Anu, who is my guest today, was an account manager who knew she needed something to change, but wasn't exactly sure how to navigate this very competitive job market. Pretty typical request over here. But what actually happened in her story, about a month into working together, she was laid off. So that brought a whole new dimension into her job search, which we're going to dive into that. But through multiple final round interviews that didn't convert to offers, she didn't just keep applying. She really got strategic, refined her positioning, sharpened interview skills, did all of the things to finally land that offer. Today, she is a senior customer success manager with a salary increase and a clear path towards leadership. So in this episode, we're going to break down exactly how she got there, what she went through to get there, practical moves, mindset shifts, all the things that really made a difference in her job search. I think I've droned on for enough on the intro part of it. So I'm just going to say, hi, Anu. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Audrey. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so glad to have you. I've been really looking forward to this. So I know I just gave you a whole intro, but I want to set the stage from your perspective as well. So can you talk about how, when you were in your previous role, when did you know, or how did you know that you needed a change?
I guess it all came down to realizing the fact that your ambitions can change and your wants in each phase of your life can change. And when I became a mom, that completely changed for me. And I knew that I didn't want to be in sales because that meant being away from the house a lot. And also, I didn't like how cutthroat sales was. So I was like, I know I need to change, but I didn't know what that change was and how to find it and how to navigate the job market.
Yeah, you're speaking truth right now with the just different stages of life bringing up different priorities, especially for women transitioning into motherhood, or even just different phases of motherhood. So I'm so glad
Yeah.
that you mentioned that. So we're working together for about a month, and then
Mm-hmm.
you find out that you're getting laid off. How did
Correct.
that shift your urgency or just your strategy overall?
Um, I think initially I was okay. I was surprised, but um, I I had the strength to face it. And I said, you know what? I have the skills, I have the experience, I have you guys, so I'm sorted. And I got laid off 3 days before I was supposed to take my 3 month sabbatical. So all of those plans had to change, obviously, because my husband had given in his notice as well, because we planned to do a lot of travel. Put all of that on the back burner, but I did still take time for myself. But then I knew that now the priority was finding a job to sustain the family in terms of, finances and income, but also finding something that I really wanted to do. So I think that's where the whole clarity process really, really helped me. Not just understanding for myself what I wanted to do, but just hearing from others around me that I'm actually good at this, just overcoming that imposter syndrome and like, oh, really? You think that I'm good at it? So I think that was really, really helpful. And then, just going through that entire process just to figure out, here are the things I like, these are the things that give me energy versus these are the things that deplete my energy. That whole process was fantastic.
Good. Yeah, I loved working through the clarity process with you. So what stood out to you about things that you liked doing that gave you energy that pointed you towards customer success?
So, in my previous role, I did sales plus customer success. It was like an all in one role. and I knew that I was good at the customer success side of things. I think, Audrey, initially we decided on going into something like product marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then, given the job market and I think just everyone wanting folks with experience in that field, it was getting quite challenging for me. And then I decided to pivot. And then my second option was customer success, which now ideally should have been my first option in hindsight. But the things that I love, right? Working with people, finding solutions, making sure that you have some kind of revenue accountability, all that is in customer success. So I was like, you know what, let's do this. And I did go to like a customer success event here as well. And then I truly understood the potential for customer success like in the next decade or so as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you just said is a really good note for people to take, that you can go through a whole clarity process, whether it's with us or maybe you use some of our resources on our website, and come out with that job title, right? Like, this is the job
Mm-hmm.
title that I want.
Yeah.
And you can still pivot from there. If you get into the job market, you start going for that job and maybe you realize quickly, maybe it takes a little bit, like, oh, this is not working out. I'm facing a lot of rejection, and rejection is not always like immediate rejection is not always a case for pivoting everything, right? But it's
Yeah.
about taking
Yeah.
in that data and realistically looking at what's in front of you. And you were in a point of the job market where I really started to see from a lot of people that we were working with, the pivots were becoming a lot harder.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of the job market right now. They're totally still possible,
Yeah.
but you were in a season of unemployment. Your husband was also unemployed. Like, we needed to maybe fast track the process a little bit more rather than trying to do this pivot. So all of that to say, I want to highlight, we came out with this job title and then pretty immediately made a pivot. And that was such an important aspect for your momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And what did it feel like just throughout your job process? Or your job search process, you were really good at reiterating and re strategizing and being okay with doing something new and different. What kept you uh, motivated through those pivots or those re-strategizing, or what kept you even wanting to do that versus like digging your heels in and not changing anything?
Um, I think it's two things. One is just that with my background and with everything I've learned, if something's not working, don't do the same thing again, figure out what's wrong with it and fix it. And that's what I was trying to do, because I was also not just looking at this as just applying for a job, but looking at it in the sense of I have this experience, but I am from a different country. People don't necessarily know my job. Plus, I'm fighting in a very, very saturated market, especially here in Austin, with all of the tech layoffs that happened at the same time, right? So you had to be different and you had to stand out. So that's what I was thinking about. But how I stayed motivated was simply because of the group calls. Honestly, it was so tough. But I would come on those group calls and just hear everyone talk about things that they've been doing, or just hear some little win, and those words of encouragement like really helped. I don't think I would have been able to do it without that. So
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, you were such an active participant in the group calls, and it really does make a difference to have community and see other people going through this process, even if they are going for completely different jobs. Like,
yeah,
that if you're on a down week, odds are somebody else has a win out there. And if you're part of the community, their win feels like your win. And
yeah,
then hopefully the next week you get to be the person that shares a win that helps somebody else out. And that absolutely is so much more motivating than just doing it in isolation by yourself in your room on your computer, because just messaging people, right? Getting a lot of rejection,
yeah.
getting a lot of no responses.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I like what you said about almost like life imitates art or art imitates life, however you say that. the job search imitates business, right? The job search, how to be successful in the job search is a similar way that you're successful in anything else that you're doing. And re-strategizing, like if something's not working, change it. But having direction on how to change it, which comes from that clarity process, I think was really helpful. Also, during your job search, you stayed very busy and involved, coming up with other things, business ideas, chasing down. You had something new. You have such an entrepreneur brain. You had
Yeah.
something new every single week to share. Like, oh, I had this idea. How did you, uh, I guess, compartmentalize these other ventures that you were working on during that time while still feeling like you were dedicating enough time to the job search?
Oh, that's a tough one because it, like the job search, even with the community, it is still tough. There are still days that I was like, is this ever going to happen? Like, you really start doubting yourself. But coming up with those ideas and working on different ventures is what kept me going. Because I am very solution oriented. So if something's broken, I try to fix it. And that's when I was like, you know what, this problem exists. Can I do this? Or, there's everyone else is looking for jobs. Hey, this is how I use ChatGPT. Do you guys want to use it, right? So one thing that helped is just setting aside, I don't know, 30 minutes or 45 minutes a day for the job search, especially if you're unemployed, and just stick to that, like no more or no less. Because if you do more, then it just really stresses you out in some cases. Or if you do less, you don't have enough time to do a good job. So I think it's just finding that right balance of committing time to the job search, but also committing time to live life, right? I've never been unemployed, and this was 6, 7 months of time that I didn't have before. So there was so much that I wanted to do and I could have done, and just I think my therapist also told me to take the time to do those things. So
Mhm. Absolutely. It's you were planning to have a sabbatical anyways. And
right.
as you know, I sometimes, with tact, hopefully, I call unemployment a sabbatical. It's just another way to look at it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but I'm interested actually with the sabbatical you were supposed to have and all of these plans that y'all had as a family, and all of a sudden that looks very different. I have to imagine there was like sadness and disappointment there. So how did you, I guess, process that while remaining committed to, oh, this is just reality, right? We gotta get some jobs. Oh, what is it? Philippians 4:6. Oh, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. That's so good. So Anna's holding
This,
up
yeah,
a little paper that is by her desk.
yeah, yeah, of course. So this was our theme, well, my husband's and mine, for last year. And that's what we prayed for and prayed about. And that's what we held on to, right? Like it was hard, but in a way, we knew that this was setting the path for something better for us to come. Even though it was very, very stressful and very demotivating as well, because I had the responsibility of financially providing for my family. We moved to this country because of my job. My husband gave up his career there, and now we have a child. So, and I'm very much type A. I want to plan for like 10 years ahead. So this is super, super hard. But I think we just held on to the Lord, and that's how we got by.
Mhm.
Yeah. Prayer.
Amen. Amen. Prayer and reliance on the Lord for sure. It's the job search will challenge you spiritually more than you can ever imagine. Whether you're employed,
Yes.
unemployed, whatever it is. Um, if you're open to that spiritual refinement, this it is a situation in your life that I just don't think you can replicate in any other way. It's very, very unique, which opens up the doors for unique spiritual formation to come out of it.
Yeah, and Audrey, you won't believe how many people were surprised at how calm And okay, I was, I guess, with the whole layoff. They're like, "Are you okay?" Like, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it." And they're like, "Wait, is she all right? Is she actually all right? Like, what's happening?" But I had that sense of calmness and like stillness within me that only the Lord could provide, right? And of course, my husband, who was by my side, and my parents and everyone around us, praying and supporting us in that journey as well. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh, yeah, peace that surpasses all understanding, even your own understanding.
Yes.
Also, my understanding. I was one of those people where I'm like, is Anna okay? She's okay. She's really okay on these calls. I need some of that peace that she's got.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wait, and yeah, your job search was not smooth, right? You had
No.
you had the ups and downs, and we were counting before starting to record. We think it was 4 final round interviews that didn't work out, which is so hard but so real. So talk about how did you handle the rejection from going through final round interviews?
Um, the first one was hard. Um, So, for context, my previous job is the only job I've had for the last decade, and that came through a referral, and I just got it. So, I've never faced rejection in the job search before. Um, it was hard, but then I was like, you know what? This is just the first one. But when it came to the fourth one, and it was a company that I really, really wanted to work at, it was super hard. I remember we were driving back from somewhere and I just decided to check my mail. And I saw it, my husband's like, "Can I drive? Are you okay?" And I was like, "I need to drive." But then I told myself, um, this Instagram story I had seen that morning, which said, if it won't matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes thinking about it or stressing about it. So while driving, like what, 20 miles or so, I told my husband, I was like, set a 5 minute timer. And I cried. I was doubting myself. I was doing all of that. But then I was like, you know what? 5 minutes are up. I'm done thinking about this. It's not going to matter in 5 years. So there's absolutely no point in me investing all of my emotions and time into this. And then I was like, well, what's next? So that's how I did it.
What's next? I feel like that's an expert mom move of around like, give myself 5 minutes. I get the 5 minutes, I'm gonna get it all out, and then we gotta move on because we've got other things to think and worry about. Yeah. So how did you show up differently to interviews as you're getting further on in your whole job search process? Would you do differently on the later interviews than you had done on earlier interviews?
So practice makes perfect. Interviewing itself is a skill. And I think the more you do it, the more comfortable you become just talking to people. And I think what changed is the fact that I wasn't like desperate for a job anymore. I was like, you know what? If this is the job that's right for me, it'll happen. And I focused on actually listening to them and listening to what they were saying and listening to what they were not saying. And just talking from my experience, talking about not just what I've done, but what I can do as well. And I think that's just what kind of flipped the switch. Um, Not just saying, "Oh, I've done this," and just, repeating your resume. They've read your resume, they know all of that, but they want to know, what are you going to bring to my organization? Are you a good cultural fit? Are you going to bring value to the team? And I think one thing that helped from the clarity process is also explaining my why, and just talking to them about, this is how I decided that I wanted to switch to the post sale side of things. They were just like, "This is amazing. You're the first person who told me your why." And yeah, so I think just going in with that clarity really helps. Because before that, I mean, I would just like randomly apply to jobs. I wasn't even seriously looking, but I had no direction, right? I'd be like, oh, this looks interesting, or this looks interesting. And it's just a random generic resume. So having your resume tailored, and I think I changed up my resume as well. We changed up the summary at the top, scrapped it, put in some bullet points with actionable numbers that were outcome based. And yeah, that changed the game.
Yeah, I love what you said about not just talking about what you've done, but what you can do for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's key in the interview process. It's reminding me, this is a silly story, but when I was in high school,
Okay.
I gave a speech for to be in a vice president position in one of my clubs, and lots of people were giving speeches to get elected. And I think I had a good position of going near to last. And I don't know this is a savage move, but I got up there. I
Okay.
don't know what came over me. I said, hey, because I'm listening to everyone and they're all talking about this is what I've done, this is what I've done, this is what I've done. I got up there and said, hey, I'm not going to stand up here and tell you for 2 minutes about everything that I've done. I'm going to tell you what I'm actually going to do for you. Don't know where
It's a
that
smart
came
move.
from. And then I got elected. So it's similar, very similar. And I saw the eyes of the people in the audience being like, "Oh, this is different. This
Yeah.
isn't what we've been hearing for the past 20 minutes." Same thing in the interview. It helps the interviewer light up and engage when you're actually talking about what you're going to do for them. Like, "Oh yeah, I've closed, 2 million in revenue last year, whatever, blah, blah, but here's how I'm going to close revenue for you in a sales role. Here's how I'm going to help customers build relationships, do all these things." You have to connect the dots for them. Don't just let them
Yeah.
interpret everything. And
And
that,
that's the other thing, Audrey. Sorry to cut you off, but for me, I just thought that, okay, if I say that I managed a book of business of 5 million or 10 million or whatever, that it was understood that I did A, B, and C to manage the book of business. Whereas you need to be explicit about it and just explain that this is what you did to get these outcomes.
mhm.
And I think that also kind of sets you apart because they understand your thought process. And they're like, okay, this is how she thinks. This is why she did this. And just explaining to them and just talking to them how you brainstorm, I think also helps.
Yeah. And I remember a conversation we had after you had a lot of reps of interviews in, and we needed a refresh to
Yeah.
just get on a call, refresh how you were approaching it. And we had a good conversation about how you might be sharing the same kind of stories over and over and over again, but for the interviewer who's sitting right in front of you, it's their first time hearing it from you. So you need to deliver it
Yes.
like it's the first time that you're giving that story and
Yeah.
bring that pep in your step. And it sounds when it's coming out of your mouth. I mean, I know this from coaching dozens of clients.
Yeah.
It's, I'm like, I'm saying, I'm not saying anything revolutionary. And then I have to remember it's the first time that they're hearing it. Yes,
Exactly.
it's the 100th time I've said it, but the first time that you're hearing it. And so
Yeah.
delivering it with that enthusiasm is so compelling for an interviewer that you're not just robotic at that point where it's so easy to fall into that. That's why you got to pay attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when you got to this job that you landed,
Hmm.
tell me about when you first came across the job description. Was there something special about it? Or was it just another rep? Just another something that you were submitting? Where did it fall on that spectrum?
So I think this was more intentional in the sense that this was after the holidays. I was looking at all of the jobs I had applied to before looking at those companies and seeing what was new. And this was actually through a friend that I met at an event. And at the time, I wasn't interested, but this time the job posting was slightly different. The role was a little different. So I reached out to her, and then what she described matched the kind of job that I was looking for. So I applied through her.
So good. Okay, so did she give you a referral?
Yeah, she did.
Okay, great. Referrals are key.
Yeah.
So helpful. So how did the interview process go? Was it a culmination of everything that you had been practicing, or did it just feel like another rinse and repeat?
Um, it didn't feel like a rinse and repeat. I think I took a break during the holidays. I just needed some time off of job hunting, off of just looking at my resume on a daily basis. So I think that clarity helped. But I also went in with renewed faith and stronger in prayer, just asking the Holy Spirit to speak through me. Um, the interviews felt like a chat with a long lost friend, which
That's
was
so
so
sweet.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as soon as I started talking to the hiring manager, not just the role, but her personality was so warm and so inviting. And, she gave you the sense that she knows what she wants out of you, but she's also going to give you the freedom to do what you do best. And the interesting thing is, I did have like an on-site presentation, and that turned into an entire brainstorming session where we were talking about, oh, you can do this and this. And I was like, you know what? We can bring this in, and this is how we're going to help your business. And yeah, so I think just zero pressure, take the pressure completely out. If you don't get the job, it's just another interview, right? Like you've done so many by now. So this is just another interview. You go, you do your best, be yourself, and trust in the Lord to say the right thing.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. So well said. So you do the interviews. Obviously, they go well. You take that consultative approach that we talk about so much. Um,
Yeah.
and I love how you said it turned into a brainstorming session by the end of it. That's awesome. That's exactly what we're going for. Like you're
Yeah.
already in the role, basically. It would be ridiculous for them to not give you an offer because you're already doing the
Right.
job.
Right.
Yeah. So offer comes in. How did you feel about negotiating? Because I know after a long job search process, or not sometimes, most of the time, people are tempted just like, okay, I'm just going to take the job. Like, I just need to take it. I don't want to negotiate. And please
hmm
don't do that. Everyone needs to negotiate. But what were your thoughts when that first came in?
I knew I was in a position of negotiating because during the different interviews, I also collected information about them, about the organization, about the team, what their goals are, what do they need, what do they lack in the team, just going beyond what's in the job description. And that helped me position myself as a strategic player in their team and not just another addition. And I think when I reached out to you, Audrey, that was one of the things I said, like, I have no idea how to negotiate like contracts when it comes to employment because I've never done that in this country. And and I think just talking to you and just going through that process, I think I just did like a Google Doc, right? Like here's why I need this position. So we negotiated the title and the pay. And then of course you refined it, and then we did a bit of research to find if this number was reasonable or not. But I was confident going into it because one, of the whole brainstorming session that we have. And I knew that I was going to deliver what they needed. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved our negotiation prep call. It was so fun to put it together kind of like a puzzle. Um,
Yeah.
And you were really good about that in all the interviews you did of like taking notes and really keeping track of what y'all talked about in the entire interview process so that you could bring that into consideration in your presentations or final round interviews. But then also
hmm
it served you so well when you did get that offer and you could lean back on those or look back on those notes to
Yeah.
provide more context and evidence for what you're asking for rather than just asking for a number, especially
Yeah.
because you were looking for a title, which was really exciting when you got that, and a number alongside that.
Yeah.
So how does this fit? How does this job help you build out long-term career goals?
So interestingly, like you said, one of the many little projects and things I had during my unofficial sabbatical was along the lines of like health and well-being and how technology can play a part in it. And then the company I work for now is in health tech and well, health adjacent, but it's health tech. And I was like, what a blessing, it's leading me to maybe one day I'll work on that. But also I think I now am able to focus really and say, okay, in this phase of my life, these are my goals. I want to be a CS leader. Not in the traditional sense of just, firefighting and whatever, but rethinking strategy, rethinking how customer success is positioned in an organization as a revenue engine, and how AI and all of these cool things, play into it. So that's the kind of role I'm also stepping into. When I started just 2 weeks ago, I was always finding myself asking a bunch of questions about why are we doing this, why are we not doing this. And I think the leadership really recognized that and saw the vision that I was telling them about the product and about the industry. So I think I like what I'm doing so far, and I like the path that I'm on. So it's definitely setting me up for success towards what I want to be.
That's so good to hear. Yeah, you're going to do big things. I'll be keeping updated on LinkedIn for sure. So, if you, as we're kind of closing out here, if you could talk to somebody who was in whatever position you thought was hardest during the job search, maybe share a little bit of that. Like, what was the hardest thing that you dealt with? And then what would you say to somebody who's in that position right now?
The hardest thing was the process of just applying. It's exhausting, it's daunting. The rejection emails, like even like the auto reject, and you don't even know why. Like it breaks you. It destroys your identity because you think of yourself as a salesperson or as someone, and you're just like, wait, am I not good at this anymore? And it just brings you down mentally. And it's 100% fair to feel like that, right? Because that's what you feel like at that moment. But there is a job for you, and there is an organization that's going to value you for who you are and what you bring to the table. And that was a perfect match for me here as well. In the previous interviews, when I look back, there was some mismatch. And in my head, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take this job because I need a job and I can make it work. But here, I felt that I could actually and truly add value to them, and they will see me for who I truly am. So that moment is coming soon.
Yes, have hope. Have hope.
Yes.
That is such a good message. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here, for trusting us with your journey. And it was a journey. And I'm honored to have seen it come to fruition here with this amazing job offer. So
Yes.
thank you for being willing to come on this podcast, Anu.
Anytime, Audrey. And I'm excited to contribute to the alumni group that we now have, finally.
Yes,
Um,
because of Anu. It was Anu's message that finally got me to get this alumni group together.
like I told you, right? It's the team and like the community that really kept me going. And now I want to know what they're up to. And I was like,
Yes.
wait, what did she get a job? Like, what's happening? And yeah, I'm excited to keep in touch with all of them.
Good. I'm so glad. You're such an asset to the community, Anu. So I'm so glad that we had you for the time that we did and that we have you forever in the alumni group. Um, I told Anu before hopping on this podcast, I think this is the first of many podcasts for her. I think we're going to be hearing her voice. Follow her on LinkedIn, see what she's up to. And you're welcome back on this podcast anytime. Anytime. So thank you for being here, Anu, and
Thank
looking forward
you.
to seeing everything that you do.
Okay, thanks, Audrey. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. To get an even more meaningful head start into your calling, head to thecalledcareer.com, where my fellow career coach Audrey and I have created a whole suite of free resources and tools to help you get clear and get a job today. For those who are definitely ready to land a job or start a business in the next 6 to 12 months, we're here to help you biblically and practically discern your calling through coaching, reflection, and deep market research, identify the job that's aligned with it, even if you currently have no idea what you want, rebrand your resume and LinkedIn to translate your background to appeal to your future boss. P.S. We take this off your plate and do this for you. Also, we'll teach you how to land referrals and get attention from leadership through networking. Again, if that makes you nervous, we have these emails and LinkedIn messages literally written for you so you don't have to sweat. We're also here to give you unlimited interview practice so you're prepared to address every elephant in the room and knock selling yourself out of the park. Then we'll round out with helping you negotiate your salary so you land thousands more. Just so you know, recent clients have gotten $8,000 to $50,000 salary increases, even though they were totally non-traditional candidates. That's because we specialize in helping non-traditional career pivoters land jobs they're ecstatic to serve in. It takes work, but we're here to see you through until the end, when we're celebrating that day that you send me an email in all caps and you say, "Kelsey, I got the job." Then you could be on the podcast. But I'll be here until then, keeping you accountable and encouraged by meeting with you literally until you land the job you want, even if that's up to 6 months from now within our program. Apply to join at thecalledcareer.com, and I'll see you next week here at Answer the Call. Bye for now.